Today, we are going to do the steps in controlling. This is the function of management which helps the managers to remove deviations and bring the things back on its track. So let's start with the steps in controlling. Controlling. The first step in controlling is setting performance standards. So if we begin with setting the standards that the workers have to achieve, workers or any employee of the organization has to be achieved. Now, these standards are the benchmark against which the performance is measured. And standards can be both qualitative or quantitative. It is easier to set quantitative standards because then can be measured in terms of cost, units to be produced, revenue earned, etc. But qualitative standards are a little difficult to measure. And qualitative standards could be improving goodwill, increasing motivation level of the employees, etc. So there was this organization which had set a standard of very high hygiene for the organization. They were dealing in eatery, and therefore they had put up this title everywhere that we maintain very high level of hygiene. Now this is a qualitative standard. Now what do you mean by high level of hygiene? So what they meant was that there'll be no dishes in the sink at any point of time. Food not used up would be disposed of within half an hour. Gloves, apron will be used by the cook at all times. So this is what hygiene meant. The floor would be mopped 3 times a day. So if the standards are qualitative, then they should be very clearly defined. So the first step in controlling is setting performance standards. Once the standards have been set, the second step is measurement of actual performance. So the performance should be measured in a very reliable manner, and performance should be measured while the work is being done. This example I had given earlier also, that in a candle making factory, the workers were making candles and they were getting ₹1 per candle. So in order to earn more, they were making more and more candles. End of the day, the supervisor would come and reject 50 of them. So the worker ended up earning only 50. Now, if the performance was measured throughout, if the supervisor kept coming in between and measuring the performance of the workers and seeing that the candles are not being made properly, they're not standing upright, he would have told them how to improve it. And maybe the worker would have made only 80 candles, but at least he would have earned 80 instead of 50. So measurement should be done while the work is being done. So performance should be measured while the work is being done. And as far as possible, it should be in the same units in which the standards are set. So once a sales manager gave his subordinates a target of selling television worth 40,000 in a month. So as to motivate them, he told them that, okay, you will get bonus only if you sell television worth 40,000. So by the end of the month, when he saw what the target was, he saw that one worker had sold only one television throughout the month, and that was for 40,000. And another worker had sold 10 television sets for 4,000 each. Small television sets for 4,000 each. He had sold 10 television sets. So the manager said, I'm going to give the bonus to this person who sold 10 television sets. To the other, he said, you just sold one television set throughout the month, so you do not deserve the bonus. But the standard set was in terms of rupees. The standard was that you should sell television worth ₹40,000, not the number of units. Therefore, both of them were entitled to bonus. So this must be remembered by the management, that if you are setting the standards in a particular term, particular unit, then the measurement should also be in the same unit. And there are various methods of checking the actual performance of the workers, like personal observation, sample checking, performance reports, etc. Now, let us say the standard set were 100 units, and when the actual performance was measured, it came to only 80 units. Then both need to be compared, because like I said earlier, if you try to control everything, you end up controlling nothing. The management should not be bothered about each and every deviation. So they compare the actual performance with that of the standard. And then they come to know that if there's any deviation. And finding out the deviation becomes much better if the standards are set in quantitative terms. For example, if a worker is making units, then it is much easier for you to measure it. If you have kept a qualitative term like increasing the goodwill of the company, then sometimes it becomes difficult to measure the performance and compare it with the standard. Then the next step is one of the most important steps in controlling is analyzing deviations. Deviations are expected. Some amount of deviation will always be there, but only those deviations which are beyond the acceptable range should be brought to the notice of the management. Now, there are two methods of analyzing deviation: critical point control and management by exception. So I'll give you some examples to understand them very well and be able to distinguish between them. So let's start with the first one, critical point control. Critical point control means look for the key result areas, look for those important areas which are critical for the success of an organization. Each and every expenditure may not be necessarily important for the organization. So KRA or key result areas identified, and management should focus only on these areas and try to minimize the deviations in these areas because they are critical for the success of an organization. For example, if the labor cost increases by 5%, now labor cost is running in lakhs of rupees. So even if they increase by 5%, it would be a major amount. Is more troublesome than 15% increase in postal charges. Your postal charges are rupees 400 per month. Even if they increase by 15%, it's not critical. But even if labor cost increases only by 5%, that is important. So critical points are to be identified. Now, for example, you people are all studying for your board exam. Now, you might not be that good in all the subjects. Some subjects you might be very good. Some you might not be that good. So therefore, you have to concentrate more on those subjects which you are not very strong in. Because if you do not score well in those subjects, your overall percentage will go down. So you have to identify the critical point. Which is the critical point which is going to affect my percentage? So identify that particular subject and start studying that subject right from the beginning and spend a little more time doing that, so that when your overall percentage is calculated, you have scored equally well in those subjects also. Same with the organization also. So in critical point control, we identify the key result areas. Then comes management by exception. It is also called control by exception, and it is based on the fact that if you try to control everything, you end up controlling nothing. That means the management should be brought to the notice of the management only those deviations which are beyond the permissible limit. Let's say toys are being made. So when the toys are being made, say 2 to 5% toys may be defective. That we do expect that some amount of toys will be defective. So that is acceptable. But if the defect goes up to 20%, then that is not accepted. So only those deviations which are beyond the permissible limit should be brought to the knowledge of the management. The example given here is 2% increase is acceptable. Labor cost will increase. Therefore, 2% up to 2% is acceptable. But beyond 2% should be brought to the notice of the management. And if it is more than 5%, then this is very, very, very high deviation. And therefore, immediate action should be taken in this case. Now, again, I would like to repeat that these two analysis of deviations are very important. So critical point control is when we are comparing two different things. We are comparing the labor charges with that of postal charges. So taking an example home, closer to home, for example, your marks are being compared with your younger brother or younger sister's marks. So two different identities. So two different things. When two different things are being compared, we call that critical point control. But when we're talking about one thing, in management by exception, we're only talking here about the increase in labor cost. We're not comparing with any other cost. We're just seeing the increase in labor cost. So for example, your marks in class 12th are being compared with your marks in class 9th, 8th, or in the primary section. So the comparison is with you and your previous marks. So when we are talking only about one particular thing, then that is called management by exception. This example is just to help you remember the difference between them. Now, once the deviations are being analyzed, then corrective action needs to be taken. And this is the final step in controlling. If the deviations are within the permissible limit, then no corrective action needs to be taken. But if it is beyond the limit, then you need to know what corrective action is to be taken. And the right corrective action is very important. For example, once a worker was working on a machinery, and after some time, the management saw that his performance was going down. He was not performing according to the standard. He was supposed to make 10 units. He could just about make 8 units. So they saw that there was some defect with the machinery. So the machinery was not working properly. So next day they got the machinery repaired. So next day the worker's performance went up to 9 units. From 8 units, it went up to 9 units. But still he was not able to reach 10 units. So the management again saw that there's again some defect left in the machinery. So they got the machinery repaired again. Now the third day when the worker was working on that machinery, again his performance was only 9 units. Actually the problem was not with the machinery. The problem was that the worker did not know how to operate the machinery. And therefore he would spoil the machinery every time and his productivity would go down. So when you are taking corrective action, you need to know as to what corrective action needs to be taken. If you do not take the proper corrective action, then it will not give you the desired result. Like for example, if you go to the doctor and he does not give you the correct medicine, then the cause of the disease will not go. So what corrective action could be taken? The employee could be sent for training, like in this example, or additional workers could be put to that job so that the target could be achieved, or maybe they could be allowed to work overtime and be paid for that so that the targets can be achieved. So there are some examples of corrective action that could be taken. If there's defective material, then change the quality specification. And if the machinery is defective, then either repair it or replace it. If the machine has become outdated, then upgrade it. And if the process that is being followed is defective, then the process needs to be changed. And if the physical conditions are not very good, like for example, there's too much of noise or there's too much of heat, then those conditions can be improved. Apart from this, whatever may be the cause of deviation, accordingly, corrective action can be taken. So that's all in this video, children. Thank you for watching. Many students have been asking me how to improve presentation in business studies. In business studies, presentation is very important. It is a theoretical subject and presentation goes a long way in helping you score good marks. Therefore, my next video will be on how to improve presentation.